So I'll be doing a small series on how to use Ruby on Rails 8. I'll be starting with the very basics and moving on to building a full-on, probably full-on like to-do application, because that's just the best example I can think of to show you the basics of Rails. I'm gonna try to keep each lesson as short as possible because, first of all, when I watch YouTube, I don't like watching YouTubers that take like 10 minutes just to show me something that can be shown in 2. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. So, I'll assume you have Rails and Ruby installed. Just for demonstration purposes, I can show you I have Ruby 3.3 and I have Rails 8.0.2. That's the latest version, I think, at the time of recording this video. If not, it's one of the latest. So to create a new Rails application, so I'll just switch to my projects directory. So if you do, well, the basic command is Rails new, and then you type the name of your project. If you do Rails new / help, you'll see, let me just make this bigger for you. You'll see basically every option that you have when you're creating a Rails application. The most important ones for now is the -d, which is used to specify which database you want to use. You'll see here it defaults to SQLite 3. This is important to know as well. Rails 8, how should I say, they motivate you into using SQLite 3 because with their new adapters, it's really a very good database for production. But if you want to keep to the old values and just use something like MySQL or Postgres, you see here you can just give MySQL or Postgres as an option, and it will install those adapters automatically. The other important one is the -c one. As you can see here, that's for choosing which type of CSS you want. As you can see here, you have Tailwind, which I think most people use, but you also have Bootstrap, Bulma, PostCSS, and Sass. So yeah, that's up to you what you want to use. Another important one I almost never use, but if you want, you can use, is the -j. That's for choosing your JavaScript. And usually I just use import maps, that's the default one, but you can also do ESBuild or Webpack, Bun, whatever you want. So yeah, if you do Rails new, I'll just do to do app. Yeah, you can choose /d, then the database. I'll just use SQLite, so I won't provide one because it defaults to SQLite. And then -c, I'll use Tailwind. So you can see that if I press enter, it's going to create the project. It's going to take some time depending on your CPU and your RAM, but it shouldn't take too long. You see, it'll fetch the dependencies, install import map, install Stimulus. I'll explain what that is in future lessons. Yeah, it's also installing the solid trifecta, which is new in Rails 8, which I'll explain as well. Solid cache, solid queue, and solid solid cache, solid queue, and solid cable. So yeah, if you do an ls, you'll see that the to-do app has been created. We can cd into it. If I open with my nvim, you'll see that, yeah, it is been generated. I'll explain what all these folders are in the future lesson. So, or maybe I'll just do in this one. Why not? So you'll mainly be working in the app directory. There's basically everything you need. The assets, it's using PropShaft to deploy your assets. As you can see, you have images, style sheets, Tailwind. If you're a web developer, you know what those mean. The controllers, that's very important. You're going to be working a lot here. So Rails uses the MVC logic, which means model view controller. So basically, controllers control every request and every response. The views is the front end, what you see, and the models, it's everything to do with the database. And Rails uses active record. I'll also explain what that is in a future lesson. So yeah, controllers. There are your controllers. By default, you only get application controller. Your helpers are basically yeah, you can write helpers in Ruby and import them in your controllers and use them, so you don't have you can write code separately from your controller, so it doesn't get too confusing. JavaScript, I mean, the name says it all. You'll be writing your JavaScript mainly using Stimulus. The jobs, that's for async jobs. You can do Rails G jobs and then the name, and it'll create your job. I'll also explain what that is in the future lesson. Mailers, those are your mailers for sending email. The models, as I said, those are your models for your database. The views, that's your front end. As default, you get layouts, so you can define a layout for your application, a layout for your mailer, and also the text fallback if for whatever case the client's mail doesn't support HTML. And you also get in Rails 8 you get the PWA for progressive web apps in case you want to do that. So yeah, that's basically app. The bin folder, those are just the executables you're going to use. Mainly you're going to be using bin dev to develop, but you also have many others that I'll explain in the future lesson. The config is important as well. Here you're going to be defining, well, basically your configurations for your environments. Yeah, in Rails you can define different settings for different environments. So basically, like an example, you can be using SQLite for development, and then in production you can say, I want to use Postgres. You can do things like that. Initializers, that's code that's going to run once the Rails app starts. Locals, that's for translations. Application, those are your basic application configurations like time zone or whatever. You can see. Yeah, cable, cache. I'm gonna explain what that is later. The credentials. Those are for your envs and your secrets. So Rails doesn't use something like .env. They have their own credential manager, and I'm gonna explain what that is in a future lesson as well. Database, database options, deploy. That's for Kamal2. I'm gonna explain probably the last lesson what that is. That's the tool that I mainly use to deploy to production. These are not so important. And the routes one, that's really important as well. You're gonna be defining your routes here. So if you worked with something like SvelteKit, you know that they use file-based routing, folder-based routing. So if you create a folder, it's gonna be automatically a route. Here in Rails, you have to define that yourself. I'll explain what that is in a future lesson as well. So DB, those are your database options. When you first create a model, you're gonna get a schema.rb as well, and those schemas are gonna be available for you. Also, when you create migrations, it's gonna create a migrations folder where you can see all your migrations. The lib one is not really that important in case you wanna put stuff there to import or whatever. The log one is empty for dev, but I mean, it's pretty clear what that is. The public one, here you have your error pages and basically whatever is public, like your icons and your robots.txt or whatever. Script, honestly, I've never really used this one, but I'd say it's just for putting in scripts that you want to use. The storage one here is going to be your database. And even if you deploy to production and you say you want to use SQLite, it's going to create a database here in storage. And it's also gonna, like if you use, whenever you import pictures, it's going to store it here. But you can also configure it to use S3 or whatever. Test folder, that's pretty clear what it is. It's for testing. The temp one, I won't really go into it. It's just temporary files. The Docker file, that's important. So Rails 8 comes with a Docker file ready to use. Basically, all you need to do is use Kamal to deploy it, and it's going to use this Docker file to deploy your application to production. The gem file is basically like the package.json in Node projects. Basically, all your dependencies are defined alongside You can define, if you see here, like for bcrypt, you can use, you can say whatever version you want explicitly. If you just use like this, it's gonna just pull the latest one. You can also do groups, so if you just want a gem for development, you can define it here, or just for testing or whatever. The rest of the files is pretty clear. README, that's for GitHub, just yeah, a README. Reg files, not really that important, and config.ru, that's just Ruby configuration. So yeah, that's the basic structure of a Rails project.